What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome to episode number 63 of the Ambitious Vet Show with West Point graduate, infantry officer, and founder of the 360 Movement Personal Growth Tribe, Noble Gibbens. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet, where we believe if you desire more, you have to become more. My name is Chris Hoffman, Marine combat veteran turned passion-driven entrepreneur. On this show, I dive into the trenches with today's top military veteran thought leaders and influencers who know what it takes to not only pay the bills after the military, but really make an impact. You're going to hear their stories, failures, and golden grenades to empower you to execute on what matters most in your life right now. Calling all veteran entrepreneurs, influencers, mill spouses, and active duty aspiring ambitious vets. Have you heard of the Military Influencer Conference? It's a dynamic 3-day event connecting entrepreneurs, business executives, and brands with the influencers who shape and support the military community. With more than 21 educational sessions and a wide range of dynamic, inspiring speakers, this event gives digital entrepreneurs an unprecedented opportunity to find the resources and connections needed to grow your online business. Time and time again, you'll be introduced to bold new ideas and proven strategies for both short and long-term growth in your life, career, and business. You're going to have countless opportunities to meet, network, and learn from serial entrepreneurs and brands with over 500 plus attendees, 70 plus exhibitors, a pitch contest, and A+ list keynotes, and countless network parties, not to mention the 8-track offerings customized towards different niches just to help you elevate that next mission, Ambitious Vet. If you haven't heard of the Military Influencer Conference coming up on actually September 8th through the 10th, Sunday through Tuesday, happening in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Hilton. I'm going to post a link in the comments below. Check it out. And, just a kind of personal share here, we applied and were accepted as a 32 finalist for the Street Shares pitch contest, where we're going to be able to pitch for first place of $15,000. But I may need your help. In fact, I do need your help, Ambitious Vet. If you're listening to this, what I would like you to do is I'm going to post in the link in the show notes below. We need to go from 32. We've already been announced for the 32 finalists. So we need to go to the top 16 to pitch live at this conference. Not only do I want you to register and I see you there, but I want, if you're listening to this, even if you're going, you're not going, whatever, support this mission. If this is speaking to your heart and empowering you to get back into the trenches and in action in your life, definitely click the link below, and we would love to have you support us to go into the top 16 so we can fund this movement. And what we really want to do in the next year, 2 years is actually start pulling veterans from Ambitious Vets, from the podcast, from the LinkedIn groups and the Facebook groups to actually in-person fire teams to keep you guys, you listening to this, unstuck, unstoppable, and in action in your career, business, and life in general. Those links will be in the comments below. Thank you for who you are for the world. All right, Ambitious Vet, welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Vet. Again, I just want to thank you for tuning in. If you're running, jogging, sitting down just with a pen and paper ready for the golden grenades to just rain upon you guys, this one is priceless. There's no money that could put into this. This was like a real life workshop with Noble Gibson. This man graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point and was an infantry officer in the 82nd Airborne Division. He's been a part of close to 10 different business startups and likes to call himself just an entrepreneur evangelist. He founded the 360 movement a year and a half ago to add value to hungry leaders and influencers in every area of life. His crowning achievement is his family. He's been married to his awesome wife, Kathy, for over 22 years. They are very active in the homeschooling community, and they have an 11-year-old daughter that they homeschool with classical conversations. Now, Ambitious Vet, these are some few topics that I want you to be listening for, wherever you're at, okay? Some of the most powerful parts of this conversation was how to build your parachute on the way down. So many ambitious vets want to have it all planned out before they actually just jump into a new career, business, or just take on more courageous things in life. And I want you to really understand that concept. Also, how to actually pursue wisdom and understanding. He walks through a very powerful 3-step process on how to do that. The power of putting more money into your mind than your car. I think I can relate to that, is how much we put money into maintenance of the car, but not into our maintenance of our mind to grow. And just much, much more. There's so much seeds of wisdom that are going to narrow time frames in your life, ambitious vet. If you don't already have a pen and paper, or if you don't have your notepad on your phone out, definitely have it done. This is about to accelerate your growth, your impact, and get you that meaningful life you desire. Without further ado, here is Noble Gibbens. Noble, are you there, brother?
What's going on, Big Chris?
What's going on, brother? I love your energy, man. Like I did inside the introduction, even before the show, is just your magnetism, man. Just people attract to you. And even before we went live, brother, I just got to acknowledge you. From the minute we said hello, you were always just like acknowledging people, and just your energy, how you're able to communicate and connect with people is extraordinary, brother. So thank you for who you are.
Thanks a million. To God be the glory, man. I totally appreciate that. And it's an honor to be here, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the veterans and that you have interviewed, that you have been impacting. Thank you for the journey that you've been on. I've been a silent observer in watching you and your growth and your business growth and all that you're doing. So thank you for just all of us that are being positively impacted by your dreams, your goals, and your vision.
Yeah, bro, that hits me right there. Thanks, man. So, brother, go ahead and fill the gaps of that introduction. Let us know about something personal that not many people know about Noble.
Okay, you ready? I don't think you're ready. You ain't ready, bro. You ain't ready.
Yeah.
So one of the things I tell people is I am a Mexican, not a Mexicant. What? I know, right? Big white dude. So I am actually... my mom is a 4'10" Hispanic lady. My dad was a big giant white guy, and my mom raised me speaking Spanish. And so now here's the funny story. The funny story is, for those y'all who don't know me, I have an endless supply of taco shirts. Well, here's what happened. 3 years ago, I had a medical procedure. I was coming off of anesthesia, and evidently I was giving a motivational talk on tacos. And so my awesome wife pulled out the video camera, posted it to YouTube, and now a few thousand people have seen Noble's Taco Talk. So now any taco memes, taco shirts, taco socks, I've got them.
Come on, man. You know, Taco Tuesday is one of our favorite days out here in San Diego, man. So, hey, man, next time I'm eating a taco on Tuesday, I'm going to think of you, brother. That's all. That's awesome. So, brother, tell us more about your transition, man, and how you started finding traction out of the uniform.
So, great question, Chris. So, for me, you know, and I got married right out of West Point. So, actually, the day after graduation at West Point, my awesome wife and I got married. And she is a missionary kid. She has traveled all around the world as a kid, and so, which is amazing opportunities. And you don't typically become a missionary to make money. You do it to, you know, expand God's kingdom and stuff. And so as a result, and it's kind of ironic, you wouldn't think that people would end up becoming an entrepreneur as a result of being a missionary, but that was her story. And so she was very entrepreneurial. And that was kind of a new concept for me. I've got an awesome mom, and she was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was an emergency room physician for most of his life, 30 some years before he passed away about 10 years ago. And so connecting with my wife, it really kind of opened my eyes to, you know, to life outside the matrix, as I like to say it. So the matrix being, you know, in the job world, corporate America, outside the matrix, being an entrepreneur, kind of calling your own shots, you know, building your parachute after you jump, you know what I mean, as often as the case as an entrepreneur. And so for me, you know, living with Kathy and stuff, you know, getting married and living with Kathy, it really opened my eyes like, well, man, number one, do I want to make the military career? And, I had made a decision because we'd already started business. Because that was what happened. And I had met another West Point grad. He was an older grad, but he was a very successful business guy. He had multiple businesses. He had real estate. He had investments. He had a great marriage. And I'm like, man, I want to be like you when I grow up. And so I said, is there any chance that you'd be willing to mentor me and kind of show me the ropes? And so that began my kind of entrepreneur journey. And that ended up being starting out in kind of the network marketing arena and everything. And that kind of got gave me the bug for business. And since then, I've been a part of, 10 different startups, 2 medical imaging centers, a fitness center, executive coaching, speaking engagements, a business with a government contracting business with special operations guys, a lot of different, but that kind of got my feet wet into the business world. And so that's what happened is, so to come full circle, Chris, to answer your question, is I found somebody. And for me, I've always been big into mentorship, finding somebody, because here's what I know. Everybody is smarter than me at something. Everybody.
Yeah.
There's tons I can learn from you. There's tons I can learn from anyone I meet on the street. I can always learn from somebody. And I've always had that mindset. So for me, when I meet somebody, I kind of make it my personal mission to find out what it is that they know that I don't, so I can learn it. When I found this guy who was successful financially, real estate, business, marriage, I'm like, dude, you are, I didn't think the Easter Bunny existed, but clearly he does. So, you know what I mean? And I showed him because, even though I was clueless about business, what I did understand is that guy's time was worth a lot of money. And so I was not going to waste his time. I wanted to show him and prove to him that I was going to be a good investment of his time. That, look, whatever you recommend, I am going to, I'm not just like blowing smoke. Oh yeah, I want to, no, I'm serious. So if you tell me to read books, you tell me to listen to podcasts, you tell me to whatever I got to do, I am going to show you by my actions, not just my words, that I value you and I respect your time. I respect your wisdom. What you respect, you attract. What you disrespect, you repel. What you respect, you attract. What you disrespect, you repel.
Tons of golden grenades there, brother. I appreciate all that wisdom. And I just want to ask you, what was that like? What was that experience like, having that mentor to kind of guide you along? Because I'm sure at that point in your life, you were kind of just like, who am I? How was that experience like, brother?
Yeah, great question. So for me, and honestly, like I have been interviewing people since high school. So I was the guy who in high school, I would go around to the adults, older people, and say, hey, can I take 15 minutes? Can I take out the coffee? And can I ask you about your job? Can I ask you about your business? Like I have a voracious appetite to learn. I got that from my dad. My dad, again, was an ER doctor, and I would see him. He'd have 24-hour, 48-hour, 72-hour shifts, come home from work. And as soon as he get done from these long shifts, he would still sit down and study another 2 hours in his medical books. So I saw this guy like, wow, this guy is serious about his profession. Now, obviously, the consequences of not being good as a doctor is life or death. Yeah. So he took it very seriously. But then I saw him, after he'd do 2 hours of his medical reading, he memorized the whole book of John in the Bible. Like just a hungry learner. And then as a kid growing up, junior high, high school, he would ask me questions like, hey, Noble, what do you think about, what do you think the meaning of life is? And I'm like, dude, you're asking, I have no idea, Dad. I'm trying to,
deep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Deep, but what that taught me was, man, it's okay to learn and be hungry. Like he showed me what being hungry looked like. And so I got to see that. And again, what it felt like so I got that modeled early on in my life. So then finally, when I met this guy, as a young, brand new cherry second lieutenant in the 82nd Airborne Division, I was like, man, thank you, God, that all these years of me pursuing wisdom and mentorship and stuff, in the Bible, it talks about, Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is supreme, though it costs all you have, get understanding. And here's what's crazy, bro. What's crazy is people spend more time and money on their car than they do on their mind. That's why their car runs better than their mind. right? And so, you know what I'm saying? And so
Sure.
for me, we've been very intentional at investing in our personal growth and development, because I don't want to be the worst version of myself or the average version of myself. Like you said in the beginning of your introduction of this, of your podcast and stuff, I want to be the best version of myself. I'm not trying to preach, but there's another verse, Matthew 25:14-30. I want to be the guy that gets the five, they call it the 5 talents, the 2 talents, and the 1 talent guy. I want to be the guy that gets the 5 talents, and I give God a huge return on his investment into my life. I want to give him back way more than he's given to me. And so when I found this guy, this mentor, this potential mentor anyway, I like latched on. I'm like, dude, I'm not telling you I'm gonna stalk you, but I'm gonna pretty darn close. You know what I mean? Like, I want to pursue you. And so for me, that's been a life core value of my life, is always seeking mentorship.
Yeah. No, I love that, brother. And, I think a lot of ambitious vets that are listening to this on the podcast live or even on replay can really relate to that, man, because I can find even in my own life, brother, anytime I'm starting to get stuck in my life, career, business, it's usually because I'm not having someone pour into me. One thing that I do a lot, right, is I attend once a week, Landmark Worldwide, which is I'm a leader inside the organization. I go in, I participate in a program, coach a program or something like that, because I say that you gotta have anchors that are pouring clear water in your dirty Dr. Pepper, right? So that's important, brother. And what would be like a practical tip that you would give an ambitious vet listening to this or watching this live or on replay with us on how to seek wisdom consistently? Because maybe 2 hours a day doesn't work for like a busy professional, but maybe it's 1 hour a day. I mean, what would be a practical tip on consistently seeking learning and wisdom other than finding a mentor?
So excellent question. So mentorship, in my opinion, can come in many forms.
Yeah.
It can come in finding a Chris Hoffman that, like, man, I want to grow up and want to be like Chris Hoffman. Well, man, link up with him, pursue him. Don't expect Chris to pursue you. You pursue Chris. Don't, well, Chris, it's got to be on my, no, if Chris is he's successful, he's putting his impact together, his influence together, man, pursue those guys. If Chris says, hey, man, I don't have time, he turns you down, keep pursuing them, right? Hungry wins, man. There's a book called, it's called Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni. He says, hungry, humble, smart. Well, I've added a fourth one called appreciative. Hungry, humble, smart, and appreciative.
Yeah.
And by smart, I don't mean IQ, I mean EQ. So anyway, so that's one example, is pursue, a person or people, a tribe. So that's one. The second way of mentorship is in a tribe. Find a tribe. Maybe it's the ambitious vet tribe. Maybe it's the vetpreneur tribe. Maybe it's there's tons of amazing tribes out there. Stephen Kuhn's got one, Richard Kaufman. There's a bunch of guys, Mark Dude. There's a bunch of great guys out there that are doing great things. Big Andy Nelson that are great veterans. They're doing, find your tribe. Find what's your flavor, right? An ambitious vet tribe would be a great place to start. If you don't have a community yet, get a part of that community. And here's the thing. Don't just receive, don't just be a recipient, be a contributor. You have gifts and talents that la-di-da-di nobody else has got. So use those. So that'd be the second thing, is tribe. So number one is a person. Number two is a tribe. Number three, books. I've heard it said this. I'm a cheesy quotes guy, so I apologize up front. Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. That's how I've heard that before. So there's exceptions here and there, but I would say for the most part, man, if you want to be an effective leader and an influencer and impactor, you got to read. Now, that's coming from a guy who the only books I used to read back when I was in high school and stuff like that was Cliff Notes and Spark Notes. Right? You know what I'm saying? But now, if I showed you my library, we've got a wall full, 2 walls full of massive, all kinds, hundreds, maybe thousands of books over the past 2 decades of personal growth and development. So that'd be the third thing, is books. Number 4, podcasts, right? Again, and maybe you don't know who, maybe you don't know who you want to follow yet, but find an industry. Is it business? Is it sales? Is it veterans? Is it motivation? Is it productivity? Is it faith? Is it spiritual stuff? Like, there's all kinds. Just go into a topic. What topic interests you, right? Start to explore some of those topics, those personalities. Again, Chris is a great spot to start. and he probably has some great references for you, some great recommendations for you that he could refer. So podcasts would be the other thing. So those fourth, and then the last thing I would say, it's a little bit different than the first ones. It kind of goes along with the tribe there a little bit, but your association. Listen, you're going to be in life based on two things: the books you read and the people you associate with. The books you read and the people you associate with. You hang out with scrubs, newsflash, you're going to be a scrub, right? If you hang out with people that are movers and shakers, even though maybe you feel like you're lower than a pregnant ant right now or whatever, find out people that have their mojo. Big Chris, I'm not trying to wear Chris out, but man, he's moving and shaking. Hook your line to Big Chris and like, man, follow it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, watch these guys. I have been blessed to watch guys like Chris and a number of the names, Stephen Kuhn, a bunch of the guys I've already mentioned that I saw them, 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe not that long ago, a few years ago, and to see them, like, man, no one even knew who these guys were. And then all of a sudden, like, guess what? They started to tap. They started to do all this stuff that I'm saying. And next thing you know, boom, here's Big Chris Money Hoffman, who's impacting thousands of people. That's crazy talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So your association, the association is critical. Make sure that you're associating with people that are adding value to you and that you can also add value to them.
That's amazing, brother. And it's I'm honored. I love how much you build people up around you, and that's the reason why I feel like people are just naturally attracted to you. But I speak on behalf of the whole Ambitious Vet Tribe, is that if we weren't providing consistent value from day one, we would have never attracted Noble Gibbens. You know what I mean? So you are just an extraordinary leader, man. So I'm a big believer here, man, that people learn more through failures than success, right? So I want to kind of get down and dirty, shift gears a little bit. And, but I want to ask you, what was your biggest failure in your life so far? And what did you learn from
it? so Big Chris, man, when you would ask that question, you would kind of said that, hey, this may be one of the questions I may ask you. I just laughed because like I could almost do an Encyclopedia Britannica volume series on the numbers of my failures. In fact, check this out. Well, and I want to give another shout out to Big Robert Garcia. Big Rob Garcia is another awesome veteran who's doing great things in the veteran community, and not just veteran community. He's impacting a bunch of people as well. Yeah. But he's really good at this too, because I feel like, and I appreciate this question because I call myself a dirty underwear style of leader. I like to show people the junk in my trunk, right? Because I am not trying to like, oh, hey, I've got all this stuff figured out. Man, I'm figuring this stuff out myself every day. Yeah. In fact, one of the things, this is one of my family SOPs, standard operating procedures, one of our family SOPs in my family, because we've been entrepreneurs for over 20 years now, is I love asking, our kid's 11 years old. Again, we homeschool with classical conversations. I'm going to jump into that in a second too, because homeschooling is super powerful for entrepreneurs, in my opinion. Is that I ask my kid, not quite daily. It was a phase for a few years where I was asking her daily. Now it's probably a few times a week. Excuse me, but I ask, hey, Amor, because I speak Spanish to my kid. Hey, Amor, how did you fail today? Right? Because as an entrepreneur, you have to reframe failure. I call failure professor failure. We learn failure is a tool for me. I love failing, man. As long as I can fail faster, forward, frequently, to pull a John Maxwell quote out there, the closer I'm going to be to success, right? So for me, I want to reframe failure. That's why I'm not a super big fan of the American education system, because in the American education system, we are programmed that an F is bad, right? Oh, you're grounded until you get your grades up. No, as an entrepreneur, an F is fantastic because that is how you learn, is through failure. So in our family, we celebrate failure. If my daughter has gone through the whole day and hasn't failed at something yet, I say, okay, let's stop what we're doing. Let's go fail at something right now. Let's go. Because I want her to reframe failure in her mind, that failure is a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. Failure is an education tool to an entrepreneur. It's not a reflection of identity, which can happen so many times. We think, and in fact, I've done this because, man, I've gone through depression, suicidal thought, all kinds of stuff, man. And I used to think that my failure was who I was rather than an event that I did or a dumb decision that I did,
Yeah.
I let it become me, which is not accurate thinking, right? So again, as an entrepreneur. So anyway, so to answer your question, I mean, man, it's hard. So I'll say this, for example, I'll give you this one because this is fresh. The biggest one right now, I would say, is my emotional intelligence. For the majority of my life, I literally, because I was raised in my home to be a stuffer of my emotions. So I never knew, because we didn't ever talk about how anyone was feeling. We'd have intense family fellowships, you know what I'm saying? We'd yell at each other, but then we'd never have any conflict resolution. And so because we'd never have any conflict resolution, I was kind of trained that, okay, feelings and emotions must not matter. They must not be important, but I can't get rid of them, which means that must mean that I'm not important, which helped out with my depression. But here's the thing. So it wasn't until just literally a year or two ago that God opened my eyeballs. So in fact, we went to a counselor. Boom, went his high-speed counselor. And, boom, he opened the door to this whole world of emotions and feelings and emotional intelligence. And I had no idea as an entrepreneur and as a businessman, how the direct impact, not indirect, the direct impact on my business, on my business partners, my colleagues, my EQ played in all of those daily, hourly, minutely interactions with people that I loved and cared about. But because I never knew or was aware of this whole concept of emotional intelligence, I never thought they were important. And now that I've spent the past year and a half, and I've got my whole journey on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel, a whole bunch of our emotional growth journey videos. And I say, look, because I started 4 stages of emotional growth and development: emotional infant, emotional child, emotional adolescent, and emotional adult. Well, man, what's crazy is I made much of my adult entrepreneur life, I've been an emotional infant. Well, what kind of impact do you think that has on my business? Well, that's why we're not further along in our businesses and stuff, is because of my EQ. My emotional capacity has limited me, right? The max effective range of my emotional weapon system has been like 3 feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's what's hindered me. So I would say that has been one of my biggest failures. But here's the thing: is I'm turning it into one of my business biggest successes.
Yeah, brother, that's awesome. I mean, what I heard in the whole thing, man, is like you're actually able to get proactive with the conflicts, the problems, the decision making that a gritty entrepreneur or veteran entrepreneur needs to do in life. And even if you're inside this tribe or listening to this podcast around the world, and you're just business isn't your thing. Maybe it's just you want to increase your life satisfaction or career or stuff like that. I want you guys to start shifting gears a little bit and figure out, okay, am I being more reactive in my life, or am I actually being proactive? And the space between is self-awareness that Noble's talking about, and really, understanding who you are as a character. What are your values and your personality type and all that good stuff? I mean, would you have anything to add to that, Noble?
Absolutely. So another big thing to go back to the failure and the traction question actually is find a ranger buddy, man. Find a ranger buddy that you can link arms with that is moving forward. Now, don't link up with somebody that is completely lost in the sauce and that kind of thing. Find somebody that is in one PT group faster than you, right? So if I'm in the slow group, which I was many times in the slow group,
me too, brother.
I want to link up with somebody who's in that medium speed group. You know what I mean? So the same principles apply in life. So who can you link up with that? Because here's another, oh man, Chris, get ready, brother. Get ready. So check this out. This is another monster point, man. This is gangster. Okay, another monster point is this, and it's not super popular in America, but this concept is game changer. And it's the concept of, it's the A word. You ready? Accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability. Noble, without accountability, listen, I'm not excited about who I am when I'm not accountable to people. When I'm accountable to somebody, amazing what I'm capable of when I'm accountable to somebody, right? So find somebody to be accountable to. And if you want traction in your life, what is the area? Just start one, right? There's a book called The One Thing. What's one area for right now? Maybe you have 573 things you got to work on, just like me, but start with one. What's one area right now? One area that you can, that you want traction in? Start being accountable to somebody in that area of your life. Is it reading? Is it PT? Is it marriage? Right? What is it? Is it lifting? Is it right? Is it you want to start learning about business? Is it you want to get promoted at your job? What is the one area? And then find somebody that you can be accountable to in just that one area. You can worry about the other 572 areas later. Just start with one thing. One of my buddies says, just go for the base hits. Start with the base hits. The base hits will lead up to winning the game, but just go for the base hits. Now, I'm not saying that you don't dream big. Yes, dream big and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of action steps, just one, just like in Ranger School, how I did in Ranger School, 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other. I couldn't see graduating. Okay, yeah, maybe I hope I can. You know, my mindset was the tab or the slab. That was my mindset, but I knew I had to complete Ranger School one step at a time. So that would be, and yeah, that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, brother, that's amazing. I mean, I have a half page of notes already over here. Ambitious Vet, I don't know if you're listening to this on the podcast, you're running, jogging, if you're PTing as we speak, or if you're at home listening to this live, we appreciate you. And I hope that you have a pen and paper out, taking notes, because there's so many golden grenades being dropped by Noble right now. Brother, I mean, one thing that we have found inside of this whole movement since when we started this back in 2017, interviewing people in an empty apartment and a cell phone, is, there is a ideal avatar that's 3 to 6 years out, man. That is got stability, got their legs underneath them financially, because that's our biggest problem as veterans is we get out and we just want financial security. But there's an ideal avatar that's like, I'm not satisfied. I'm unfulfilled. I don't know how to actually live an impactful life now since I finally had the financial stability. So what would you tell veterans that are in that space as far as becoming more? What would you do if you're in that position?
Okay, so I love that. So I'm gonna give you a little bit. So one of our mission statements in the 360 movement is live a growth lifestyle. Share that growth journey with others, teach others to do the same. Live a growth lifestyle, share that journey with others, teach others to do the same. So here's the thing is, I believe that, and again, I'm not trying to preach to you. My background, I'm a Christian. So, whatever your faith background is totally cool. So yeah. I'm not trying to preach. But here's what I believe. I believe that God has put inside of Lottie-Dottie everybody superpowers, gifts, strengths, and talents. You got them. You may have grown up in an abusive childhood and terrible environment, all this stuff, and negative military experience, because I've met folks like that too. And you may just gotten kicked in the teeth day in, day out from childhood through the military. Here's what I'm telling you. Listen to me. You have got amazing things inside of you. You've got amazing strengths, skills, gifts, talents, perspectives, views, thoughts, ideas. You are a solution to somebody else's problems. You are a solution to somebody else's problems. And what has happened to me is I'm a recovering people pleaser addict. And I'm recovering from that. And so I used to care so much about what other people thought of me that I never shared my gifts with anybody. And I just buried my gifts in the backyard. Well, God finally kicked my butt literally last year and said, Noble, stop it, McFly. I didn't give gifts to you for you. I gave gifts to you so you could help other people out. Right? So what I'm telling you is, and there's another verse, 2 Timothy 1:6, fan into flame the gifts that God has given you. Well, how do you fan into flame? That's an actual word, fan, by using them. The more you use your gifts, every single podcast that Big Chris Money puts out, he gets better. He's getting more reps. He's getting more experience. He's getting better questions, right? It's because he's doing reps. He's using his gifts. That's why he's growing. So I would encourage you guys is find what your gifts are. A great book. There's a couple great books I'm going to recommend to you guys. Number one is Personality Plus by Florence Littauer. There's a ton of great books out there. That's the one I use. Florence Littauer, Personality Plus. Number two, Strengths Finder 2.0 by Tom Rath. It's a Gallup poll. It's a great, spits out your top 5 strengths. You can pay more money and get all, 50 or your strengths, whatever. But that's or 32 of your strengths. But that's another great one. Shape is a really good one. SHAPE, strengths, heart, attitude, personality, and experience. Shape is another really good one. So start to discover your gifts. Start to discover what your superpowers are. This is another thing too. So there's the whole series of strengths books. The first one was Now Discover Your Strengths. The second one is Strengths Finder 2.0. The third one is Go Put Your Strengths to Work. And in that book, the way they define a strength is an area of your life that you can deliver a near perfect performance consistently.
That's good.
Over time. Now, in that third or fourth book, Go Put Your Strengths to Work, here's the add-on, the addendum they put onto that. And that gives you joy and energy. So you may be good at physics, but it may not give you joy, right? So what gives you joy? What this is awesome. What can you do? Make a list. I recommend you do a skills list, a talents list, a passion list. Do a passion inventory of yourself, a skills inventory, and say, okay, which of these activities do you lose track of time? Because these are all clues. If you think about something, what gets you emotional? That's also a clue. These are all clues, puzzle pieces to you finding out what your purpose is. And this is huge. This is a big one. If I can challenge you guys, give you guys a homework assignment, is start working on and praying about what your mission statement is. What's crazy is in the military, you'd never cross the LD line of departure without a mission statement or at a minimum, a commander's intent. But why do we do that every day in our life where we don't have a mission statement? My personal mission statement is to positively impact millions of people for the kingdom of God, to positively influence the influencers, to raise the next generation to be patriotic world changers, to love the Lord their God with all their heart, mind, strength, soul, spirit, and body, and to help hungry people identify and pursue their purpose in life. That's my personal mission statement. What's yours? Why are you waking up every day not knowing why you're on this ball of mud? Now, that mission statement is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. So be patient with it, but keep it on your brain and keep a little notebook handy or your phone or whatever, so you can start keeping track of developing your mission statement, because it's critical. Because when you find your purpose, Mark Twain quote, the 2 greatest days in a man's life, the day he was born and the day he finds out why. When you find your purpose in life, ladies and gentlemen, you will be unstoppable.
There it is. Boom. Brother, that tons of golden grenades there, man. I appreciate that. And Ambitious Vet, if you're listening to this or live on replay and you're not that clear where you can just knife hand the camera with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I challenge you to get those books. Connect with Noble Gibbens, because he is navigating people through finding their influence, finding their next purpose, and ultimately finding their next tribe. So, brother, tell us about this 360 movement that you've created and what your mission and vision for this whole thing that you're creating, brother.
Love it. So the 360 movement was developed a year and a half ago as a result of getting access to mentorship, and I've read hundreds, maybe close to 1,000 books on leadership and growth, and just truckloads of books on stuff, because I'm hungry. I want to be the best version. The greatest room in the world is the room for self-improvement. And I've got a big room. And so after reading all this stuff, I'm like, man, I wonder if other people would want to know some of the stuff that I've learned, and maybe there's other people that love leadership and growing and learning as much as I do. Let me see. So I said, well, let me do a webinar. I'm going to do a hybrid deal. So a year and a half ago, November, December of last year, I did a webinar, and the first one was on leadership, and I just was going to do it for men. I did it for men just to help men be better leaders, husbands, and fathers. That was my thing, and we're going to talk about leadership. And I just put it out to my little network, handful of folks, whatever. 90 people registered for the event. I was like, snap. I'm like, okay, that's super cool. 60 people actually showed up. 30 people missed it. I had basically 30 people show up to my house. 30 people showed up online. And so I broadcasted it, but I also did it local. So it's kind of a hybrid deal. And I asked him, I said, I had 5 of my classmates, because, a lot of my classmates are colonels. I've got one classmate that's a general. I've got, the classmates, CEOs and CFOs and COOs and all these big cheese executives, entrepreneurs and stuff. So for me, that's one of my superpowers. I've got a great network. And so I asked some of my classmates, hey, would you guys be willing to come in and give a mini TED talk to this group of men that want to grow in the area of leadership? So, man, my classmates are just, I'm humbled to even know some of the people that I know. It's just so humbling. It's just a blessing. So anyway, and I had the little micro TED Talks, literally 5 to 7 minutes of punch in your face, 3 to 5 of them back to back. And then the second hour, that's the first hour. The second hour, we discuss it. We have conversation and discuss it. And I learned, it's called the Socratic method. I learned that from our homeschool model at Classical Conversations, homeschool program, because that's one of the reasons why we homeschool, is because I wanted to raise my kid as an entrepreneur. And so that's one of the reasons why we homeschool. And so, because there's no public or private school that, teaches you how to be an entrepreneur that I know of, or teaches kids how to be an entrepreneur. So that's why we wanted to homeschool. Plus, we wanted to instill biblical principles. And then the third reason was I wanted to brainwash my kid. I didn't want someone else to brainwash my kid. You know what I'm saying? And so boom. So then we had this event. The second hour was all conversation, discussion. I broke us all down to small groups, had conversation about the first hour, the keynote speakers, all that kind of stuff. And then I asked all the 60 folks, the guys that attended, hey, if I did this again in a couple months, how many of y'all would attend? 100% raise their hands. Like, oh yeah, we totally down. Well, a few days later, I started to hear some scuttlebutt from the wives. The wives like, what, do we lunch meet? I want to come to the next one. We want to come to the next one. So now the ladies started, hey, we want. So the first one was on leadership. Oh, and then the 30 folks that missed the event, they're like, hey, dude, did you record it? And I said, yes, but I don't have any administration skills. That's just not I don't have any of those gifts. And so I said, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Facebook group and put all the content in that Facebook group, and then you can come and access whatever you want to. So that was the impetus, that was the catalyst for the 360 Movement Personal Growth Tribe. And then, so 2 months later, we did an event on work-life balance. How important, how hot is that topic, right? Not only to veterans and military folks, but to civilians and private sector business folks, homeschoolers, like lottie-dottie, everybody. Work-life balance is a very important topic. And so, boom, with the second one, and I brought in some more of my classmates. That second event, I think we had about 130, 150 people show up. Then a couple months later, we did it on assets, on finances, investing, and real estate. And I had big Derek Morrell, Stephen Kuhn, Andrew O'Brien. I had a bunch of other veterans, a couple, one of my business coaches come and speak at the event. And then boom. So that one we had, close to 200. So we've averaged about 200 plus or minus people at every one of these events. And the next one was on relationships. The next one was on 2 months later was on developing leaders. The next one was on growth hacks to 10x your life. This one of the most recent ones was on emotional intelligence. We got another one coming up September 15th on flow from the Flow Research Collective Center. The chief growth officer is going to be doing a keynote talk for us on the concept of flow. So I'm super excited about that. So the mission of the 360 movement, we want to, so again, live a growth lifestyle, share that journey with others, and teach others to do the same thing, so that we can change the world by changing your world, by changing you. So it starts with changing you. How do we do that? By reaching the world, restoring brokenness, empowering leaders and influencers, affirming gifts, strengths, talents, and superpowers, cultivating deep roots, harvesting long-lasting legacy fruit.
Brother, that's awesome. I love how clear it is. And I love how you're breaking it in step by step by categorizing it and stuff like that. Just, it sounds like it's going to, blow up to be like almost a personal growth directory. And, the self-knowledge industry is becoming huge right now. I mean, there's a reason why, Russell Brunson and Tony Robbins and Dean, I can't pronounce his last name, long Italian name, created a humongous online summit. So brother, I'm excited about this, man. And I was in there. So we got a ambitious vet dog. Barking. So, I loved coming into his tribe, Ambitious Vets. And, when I came in there, I saw how fast it's grown. Also, the meaningful personal growth conversations that are happening. I'm talking about the real, vulnerable, transparent conversations that, areas of life that we choose to hide out in, right? Hide and kind of just shove off into the corner. And guys, that's the areas of life that you want to be talking about. And I acknowledge Noble for creating a safe space for major influencers that have to look good and put the tie on all the time to be able to actually have those meaningful conversations that push what matters most forward. So, Noble, brother, don't know if the ambitious vet dog is done barking, brother, but I want to dive in and ask you the 3 golden grenades that, any ambitious vet that's listening to this or watching this on replay or live would be 3 golden grenades you could just drop in right now to make immediate impact in their career, life, or business.
Okay, so this is one. Number one is daily habits, daily habits, daily habits, daily habits. If you want to change something in your life, you've got to change something you do daily. If you want to change something you do in your life, you have to change something you do daily. So weekly habits are tough to be consistent with. Monthly habits are even harder to be consistent with because they happen so infrequently. So change your daily habits. Now, here's the thing. What's the best, easiest way to start a new positive daily habit? Attach it to a habit you've already got. Well, what do I mean? Well, do you eat breakfast every day? Probably. Do you shower every day? So attach that new positive habit to your breakfast. So maybe it's affirmations, maybe it's saying your goals, maybe it's setting aside 5 minutes for your visualization, maybe it's reading 5 minutes in a book. Attach that to breakfast that you're going to eat every single day. Or another example, if you leave your house every day to go to work, to go to the gym, here's a new habit. Attach it to a habit. You're going to leave your house every day. So 5 minutes before leaving the house, you've got to pull out your book and you got to read 5 minutes in a book, right? But because it's already a habit, so that's number one. Number two is mentorship. Begin making mentorship a part of your daily life. Pursue that tribe, pursue that individual. Again, Chris, the Ambitious Vet Tribe, whatever, start pursuing mentorship. And by pursuing, I'm talking hungry, be hungry for wisdom, man. Again, what you respect, you attract. What you disrespect, you repel. Number 3, begin working on that mission statement. Begin working on that mission statement. Be praying about it, be thinking about it. What is your life's mission statement? When you find and hone in and identify that mission statement, you will become unstoppable. Confusion kills, clarity compounds. Confusion kills, clarity compounds. So the clearer you get that mission statement, it's curtain. So those would be the 3 things, Chris, that I would say.
That's awesome. Confusion clouds, clarity compounds. Brother, that is one of the best ditties I've heard since the Marine Corps, brother. So that's awesome. So, brother, where can people go to find out more about what you're doing with 360 Movement and even get closer to your personal brand, brother?
Yeah, appreciate that, Chris. So you can find me at the 360 Movement Personal Growth Tribe on Facebook. You can find me, follow me at Noble Gibbens on LinkedIn. At the Noble Gibbons on Instagram, Noble G on YouTube, or the 360 Movement on YouTube, and those are the different platforms that you can find me at.
It's awesome, Noble, and I'll have all those either in the comments or in the repurposed bio of this video. So look out for that, Ambitious Vet. Noble, man, I just want to acknowledge you, brother, for being the person that you are for our community, man. 1, you're the hands guy, but 2, brother, you bring wisdom that narrows time frames for all of us to create an impactful life out of the uniform. You told me before we went live that I'm paving the way, brother. No, it's guys like you, man, that have been there, done that, started 10 companies, got rid of them, sold them, whatever, exited out of them, and came back, and you're pouring into guys like me that are, really wanting to figure out how to drop those golden grenades as easily as you. So, brother, just want to acknowledge you for the 360 Movement, who you are for the military community. And, brother, we send you off with an ambitious vet. Hoorah.
Thank you, Chris, so much. Thank you for your time. Ambitious Vet Tribe, you are blessed to have Chris Hoffman at the helm. And again, thank you. God bless you guys.
Where they have an Ambitious Vet, episode number 63 of the Ambitious Vet Show with Noble Gibbens. That man lives his day-to-day life that energetic. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you have not already connected to the 360 movement, I encourage you to go and do so. And if you haven't already, if you are that veteran that we were talking about in the middle of the conversation where you're a few years out and you just discovered that, you got stability underneath you, but you're just missing something that you don't really know what it is. Maybe that's, maybe it's fulfillment. Maybe you're not feeling like you're living the impact that you felt like you were feeling whenever you were serving, or maybe it's the satisfaction that you desire. I want you to go check out our website, vettrainingcoaching.com, and allow us to provide the frameworks, expertise, and direction on accelerating your impact post-military. We all want the clarity, peace of mind, and confidence to execute. Well, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Invest time. Go check out the website. If it's a good fit, go ahead and apply for the next sprint coming up October 23rd. We're only accepting 10 ambitious vets around the world inside that program. So if you buy it, if you like this mission, if you believe in it, and you want to develop the tools to stay unstuck and unstoppable in your pursuit and execute on what matters most to you, that's the program for you. Again, that's vettrainingandcoaching.com. Ambitious Vet, if you haven't already subscribed or rate or reviewed the podcast, go ahead and do so. Feedback as well allows anything to improve in life. I want to improve right beside you in the trenches. So go ahead and feel free to send that feedback to us. Lastly, we already know that you're warrior made. Compassion driven. Utilize this one golden grenade you heard on this show, and I promise you, your life will become more meaningful. Let's go get it.